Hello, I'm horror cartoonist Dennis St. John. I draw monsters and write twisted tales. As you can imagine, I was a little obsessed with Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Lucky for me, so were most of my high school friends, all except one. One friend who stubbornly refused to join the Scoobies. So here we all are, 20-some-odd years later. I'm teaming up with Doc Travis, John, Teach Landis, and maybe a special guest or two, and we're going to make our friend, Michael Poley, watch one episode of Buffy a week until he's no longer the Buffy Virgin.
Hey, and welcome back to Buffy Virgin. We took a little hiatus, mostly my fault, but we are back now with Doppelgangland. I am your host, horror cartoonist Dennis St. John. We have with us today Michael the Virgin Poley.
Hello, I'm the Virgin. I've seen only up to Doppelgangland in Season 3 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
We have Dr. Travis, Medicine Man.
Hi, I've actually only seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Nothing else, ever.
And we have John Teach Lando.
I have seen everything.
So now you know what we've seen and what we haven't seen. So we are going to begin this episode with reactions. We have a YouTube comment from Sagov9 in reaction to last week's episode. Mike, do you want to read that?
Sure, yeah. So the comment here is from the YouTube is, I didn't mean to cause all this controversy, smiley face. My comment specifically referred to the virginity prediction, not the having sex with a monster he doesn't know is a monster. In the Inkamumbi Girl podcast, I did not hear it had taken place, that had taken place in the fourth season. Maybe the condition was added in a different episode. So we're talking about the last time we recorded. There was a lot of debate, too much debate, possibly.
Too much debate. A little inter-friendship drama happened last week.
I love you, Travis.
Oh, man. I was
Travis
going through all these changes.
For pushing his buttons.
I keep telling people I'm going through changes.
It's the phases of the moon.
Well, controversy was caused regardless. We can apparently only discuss whether or not Xander willfully had sex with a monster for 3 hours, and that is the max amount of time we can spend on it. 3 hours.
Not your fault, Sagov9. I think.
Not your fault. Thank you.
I think that's on us, on me.
We did also have other people. I didn't write it in the notes, but like Elizabeth, who's been a guest on the show, made a comment about Faith. Faith thinks of herself as a monster, but we're just gonna move on past the Faith monster stuff. On Twitter, Ren and Oz gave us a yes for the nuanced convo on the patriarchy with the little clappy emojis between words. So thank you. That's really nice of you to say. I feel like we're often out of our depths when we're talking about the patriarchy, but we try. So thanks. Dingo Action's reaction to last week's episode was in which Travis reaches his limit with the predictions controversy. And then laugh. Rich also gave us more info about the Buffy game with the Super Soaker, was exclusive to the Xbox, not compatible with the Xbox One, but could play on the 360. He says there is no drowning combat mechanic, but if you fall into water, it's a fail state. So that's backs up Travis's theory that Joss Whedon can't swim.
He has no idea how to swim. Bathtubs, there's no tub in his house, I bet. It's all showers. No.
But if you fall in the water, you're dead in Buffy world.
Yeah. For sure.
All right. Those are our Twitter and YouTube comments. Thank you, guys. Let's move on to summary. I believe we have a summary from John.
Yes. Hey, remember Anya? The monkey's paw demon who created a Buffy-free universe for Cordelia? Well, her last appearance on the show left her as a lowly student of Sunnydale High, stripped of her powers and desperate to regain her magical amulet. She can't do it alone. She's gonna need somebody with magical powers. Someone with a lousy self-image who can be easily manipulated. Someone like Willow. The spell goes a little wonky, and instead of summoning a magical amulet, it summons a vampirical Willowlet. This evil blood-sucking version of Will hits the ground running, and within a single evening, she has Sunnydale's vampire community on its knees and is ready to take control of the town, starting with everyone's favorite all-ages bar. What ensues is truly a comedy of terrors. The gang sees Vampire Willow and assumes the worst, only to have their grieving interrupted by Willow Prime. Vampire Willow attempts a mirror match makeout with human Willow.
Unbelievable.
Cordelia makes evil Willow listen to a speech about evil. The evils of boyfriend stealing, that is. Good Willow dresses up in evil Willow's evil outfit in order to fool the bad guys and express her self-loathing in the third person. In the end, the good guys prevail and decide that they just can't dust a vampire that looks like their friend.
Sorry about that, Jesse.
Instead, they send her back to the Mirror universe, where the Terran Oz dusts her with a goatee. The end.
Oh, man. That's awesome. All right, let's move on to great lines. John, it looks like you got the first.
Yeah, I just really love when Oz says, I'd call that a radical interpretation of the text.
Totally.
I don't even remember exactly what Willow says to him, but I feel like that's a thing that happens in relationships a lot, where one partner is interpreting things as like, I'm a bad person. So I'd call that a radical interpretation of the
No, she says, you think I'm boring, don't you?
That's what it is, yeah.
I really like the pun at the beginning where he goes, Buffy goes, I know Faith's not going to be on the cover of Sanity Fair.
Yes, excellent.
Yeah.
Solid.
I bet a shout to Vanity Fair. It was unreal.
Mike, you want to do the next one?
Yeah, I mean, you called this. This is a so good one, though. This is Dark Willow. No, Willow, rather. I'm so evil and skanky, and I think I'm kind of gay. There's so much going on.
It's a lot.
Yes, that's like, let's write a thesis about that line.
Yep.
And the like, Willow, just remember, a vampire's personality has nothing to do with the person, who the person was. Well, actually, good point. I also liked, I'm a blood-sucking fiend. Look at my outfit.
For me, at the end of the episode, Buffy's like, you want to go out tonight? Will's like, sure, how about 9? Which is, when this played, the time of the episode it would have ended. It would have ended like a minute later. And they're like, oh, yeah.
That's really funny. I wondered why you picked that quote.
Yeah.
That was such a weird quote. I agree.
Thank you.
I really like the next one you're about to do.
Yeah. This is the one, like, I always, in my mind, like, whenever I think of Willow talking, she's like, aren't you naturally buff? You know, it's like, that's like beautiful Willowism. Like, oh, distilled.
Yeah. I almost had that one. I also really like that she laughs at it afterwards. Like,
yeah. I have a good pun that should be in that scene. That's later.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll get ready for it.
Can I talk about something quickly before we go on? Because
why don't we do a Buffy merch segment starring Travis?
Buffy March segment. Okay.
Merch.
Okay. So, because I wanted to do this at the beginning of the podcast, because essentially this is a limited edition, just came out February 13th, 2018. If you're watching a Buffy podcast, you may actually want this. It's a 4 CD set, okay? Mike can't look at some of the tracks because they're spoilers. But it's a 4 CD set of all the orchestral music that was made for Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Includes also the movie as well. So
the movie, what do you mean?
Yeah, the Buffy movie, the theatrical release. That's disc 4 or 3.
Oh, the one that came before the TV series.
Yeah. And it comes with a really nice booklet. And what's unfortunate is that there's an only release of 3,000 units. Okay, oops, can't see that. There's spoilers all over this this insert. But you know, if you ever wanted, you know, to get some of the music that was made specially for episodes, so it's got When She Was Bad. It doesn't have really anything from season 1, which is disappointing, but it has all the way seasons 2 through 7. So for this instance, you know, it has Doppelgangland, you know, CD track 2, number 4. So anyways, it's just limited, which is unfortunate. So it's kind of expensive, but if you're watching a Buffy podcast in the year 2018, my hunch is that you wouldn't want to miss out on all this cool stuff. So I don't work for them. It's just me finding it, me following a Twitter handle and the Twitter handle alerting everyone to it. So just order it online and they ship it out really quickly. So.
And are you enjoying it? Like,
oh, it's great. Oh man. Oh dude, I was just going bananas with this because my favorite music is from Surprised and Innocence and it's got some like the classic piano da 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 da. I mean it's that like you can listen to this and you just hear the favorite moments of really great episodes. The only thing I wish it had in it that didn't have is season 1, last episode, the music when she's running back to the library. I wish that was in it, but this has my favorite music of the entire series, and from season 2 and season 3. It's at like the piano. Anyway, so it's got a lot of good stuff in here, and it's got the full Buffy the Vampire Slayer song, and it's got a lot of stuff. So highly recommend it. It's limited, so I urge you all just to pick it up if you really want it.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for Trev. Let's move on to weird noticings and trivia. And we're gonna start with Travis again.
Oh yeah. The actor that plays the demon master for Anya actually is a bad guy in an episode of Angel, and he does a really good job. So I thought, let's reuse some actors. So whenever you see an actor in makeup, assume they are reused.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to do when their entire face is hidden.
Yeah.
Does he get named in this one or not?
I don't think he does.
I don't recall a name. I'm super curious about that monster.
All right.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
No spoilers then.
And then my preferred pun for when Willow's has this it's talking about Faith, and then the pencil's going crazy and it slams into the wood, and Buffy's like something like emotional, you're emotionally connected or something, or attached, and Willow's like, I'm okay. And it's like she should have said it's all wood, like because it was a wood pencil and a wood tree. It's like it's all wood, Buff. You know what I'm saying?
Or how about when it shuts out, she goes, "You gotta get the lead out."
Yeah. But it's like it's all good.
So many missed opportunities. What were the writers thinking?
They were having puns like crazy in that conversation, but they missed it all.
I think they were really happy that 3D of the effect of the pencil rotating didn't look like
terrible. It looks good.
Yeah, they really showed it off.
Pretty good. I mean, it
doesn't quite age as gracefully as they'd hoped. I really liked Faith wasn't in this episode very much. She basically gets like 2 scenes, but
such a bad
kind of
girl.
Interesting to see her interact with Buffy. Like when she like reaches for Buffy, to me that feels genuine. But then like we find out like this is the first time we've really seen Faith and the mayor interacting, and I think it's really awesome. They have a great relationship that we're finding out.
Can I speak to that the Faith Mayor thing? Because like the first thing I thought is, gosh, the mayor is providing for Faith in a way the Watcher Council never even attempted.
Yeah,
very true.
It's an amazing vindication. You're like, yes.
I love that. Almost one of my favorite quotes. Though, like, there's immoral liaisons at that hotel, and she's like, "Yeah, plus all the screwing." Like my favorite moment in that scene is just when he's like, "You got the PlayStation," and like she just runs excitedly. Like it's not even a dialogue. It's just like she looks so genuinely overjoyed to be like pampered to be given like a PlayStation. Like I like this relationship.
And the PlayStation would have been relatively old. When did the PlayStation come out? This is like
that's a good question.
I can speak to that. No, it would have been out. The N64 would have been out or been coming out the N64 would have been out very soon, but it was still within the life cycle of the PlayStation. I think it was released in 1997 or 1996. 1997 in US.
I would confirm the release date because I don't know how excited people should be about it. If they're like,
it was a big deal. I
agree. I feel like it could read as like old man, not quite with the times, being like kids like PlayStation, right? You know?
Yeah. I wonder are they also signaling that they're making a Buffy video game by even calling out the existence of the PlayStation? Are they incepting it? You know, kind of like where you might get paid to use a Windows mobile phone in a show in order to like Windows paying for that placement.
That's one of my
If
favorite
only.
terrible like product placements is in an episode of Smallville. Because there's like a character who's like been in an insane asylum for 10 years, and then she gets out, and then she like the next scene drives up, and she's like, "Clark, get into my new Kia."
Well, to be fair, it's all new to her anyways. Like, check out these new shoes and this new Kia.
John, what do you mean by Kay's choice?
Oh, so the band, the Bronze, is Kay's choice. So you definitely know Kay's choice from the song "Addiction," which is they're just they're a really appropriate Bronze band because they had one actual hit, and this is I think a little later, and they've really gone downhill because they actually had like a number one hit I think, and now it appears that they are opening for Dingo's "Ate My Baby" because it seems like they're going on first.
Yeah, I thought
Right.
about that.
Dude,
And
don't
the
you dare
Dingoes
talk smack about Kay's choice. It's so good.
And the Dingoes are so down on themselves, right? They're like, "Oh, we should get like some help moving gear," and it's like, "Yeah, you got to play more than 3 cards." You know, like they're like kind of talking about themselves being a shitty band. And you're right, the opening act is so good.
I find it. Did we know that the Dingoes are like a touring band that they went?
Oh
to,
yeah, I was surprised. Yeah, they had a gig in Monterey.
I was at a derby game. What are you showing, Travis?
It's Kay's choice. I love Kay's choice.
Oh, okay.
They're not a crappy band. They haven't gone downhill. You have, sir. So, check your ego, okay? That's what I'm saying.
No, I like Kay's choice. They're fun.
Well, I like them.
I was at a derby game last night, and the visiting team was from Monterey Bay. They were the Monterey Bay Beasts of Eden versus the home team was the Hella Organic Rollers. So I don't know. Monterey Bay is actually interesting because it's kind of midway between the LA area and the Bay Area, so it's a good midpoint. Sorry, that's not interesting. Mike, you want to talk about Dark Willow?
Yeah, just the Dark Willow appearance when she first kind of like appears in the real Sunnydale. Her walk down this like what appears to be clearly a set.
They're one main street, yeah.
Yeah, she just looks really vulnerable and more like Willow then during that initial appearance. And
yeah,
we can talk more about Willow v Dark Willow in this, but like the vulnerability she expressed was really like surprising because as I recall her from the episode she's in, The Wish, right? Like she was kind of like very sure of herself, and that moment was really good and played well. Shows that she's really Willow underneath, and like I thought it was like a good acting moment. I really
was, yeah. And also to show like the things that are bothering her are normal things, like there's so many humans, and that's the same location that we first meet Vamp Willow in The Wish. She's in front of that theater.
It reminded me of something you said about monsters once, where you're talking about, and maybe you're quoting someone else, I don't know, but like where monsters, like a lot of time we see them and they're like drawing their fangs about to kill something, but like showing a monster when it's just sleeping or just being a normal thing is kind of important. And
that's like how does a monster exist as like an organic creature, and what are they doing when they're not just hunting? What's their like actual lifestyle? John, you get the next question.
Yeah, I just want to point out that there's no particular reason to believe that Willow would be a particularly scary badass vampire. So she arrives from the other dimension and immediately has all the other vampires under her thumb. Is there any reason why we would expect that?
I mean, I like, other than because she's a main character.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
I mean, I would argue it's maybe because like first she's like used to a world where like vampires already have control, so it's like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's also, I think it like when you're a vampire, it's not about like your physical strength when you were a human or anything, because like it's all magic strength anyway. It's more about like all the issues you had as a human reversing themselves. Like, so it's all about just how beat up real Willow feels like reverses to how strong vampire Willow feels, right? Like, that's why when Jesse became a vampire, he was like a lady killer because he was a lady loser.
So the weaker you are as a human, the stronger you are as a vampire, maybe.
As long as you like super are resentful of it.
Right. It makes sense.
These are good emotional truths. That's great. I love that.
That's my theories. I don't know if you expected a real answer, but
No, that's good. That's as good an answer as I could have asked for.
what's the deleted scenes?
There's one little bit I guess that was deleted from the script where in fact after Devin from Dingoes Ate My Baby is talking about how they should hire a roadie, and then Angel comes in and is like, Oz, I need to talk to you. Apparently the next thing that happens that got cut is that the Devin from Dingoes Ate My Baby offers Angel the job of roadie for the band. And Angel just says no. Like, that's basically it.
That's funny. I like how kind of thick Angel is in this episode. Like,
Yeah.
There's the thing later on where he's like, I have something to tell you. Willow's gone. Oh, hey, Willow. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And like where Oz is like, why are you trying to beat up 10 people? It's not going to work. And he's just like, I'm going to do it. It's fine.
I like Angel in this episode. He's great. He's like emotionally vulnerable also, and like trying to figure things out. This is like the best version of like one of the best versions of Angel. This guy.
I like the thing of like he casually climbs up those ropes, and then later on Devin tries to do it. Just a weird visual gag. You got the next one, John?
I just want to call out that one of the best things that's ever happened on Buffy is in this episode when they realize that Willow's back, and they all just like rush her to hug her and give her a giant hug. And then she's like, Giles, what's happening? And then he rushes her and gives her a hug. It just feels so good to see that scene.
It's great to see, because Giles usually holds in his emotions. It's great to see how much Giles cares about Willow.
Yeah, that's really sweet. And also just like connected to that when
Xander
when Xander's like, she was so much better than me. He's like, yes, much better.
Much better.
Oh, and we missed a good line there. Where Willow says, it's nice you guys miss me. Say, didn't you all happen to do a bunch of drugs, did you?
Yeah.
That's a good one. So we have the answer finally to a question that's been puzzling us since the beginning of the series.
Yeah.
The Bronze does in fact serve alcohol. Although they're sticklers about carding. That's what we've learned about the Bronze.
But they definitely don't stamp anybody or give them bracelets or anything.
Yeah, nothing like that. No. And like, it's still strange to me that all of the high school kids are allowed to hang out there.
Did they put the Coca-Cola in a red cup? I totally forgot to look for that. Like, she's like, can I get a Coke? Did we actually see the cup it comes out in?
I don't know if I noticed it. Did anyone else think for a second that the bartender was Casey Affleck?
No.
It's not, but for a second I thought it was. And then I got into this whole thing in my head really quick where I was like, Ben Affleck had a cameo in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and Casey Affleck has a cameo in the TV series.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, it's in the movie. He's got a cameo as a basketball player. But
bummer.
It didn't really connect because that was not Casey Affleck.
I like that saying you're 1,000 doesn't work together.
I feel like in Sunnydale, like that also in Sunnydale is maybe not the strangest thing to say. Like,
oh yeah, bartender's completely unfazed by it. He's not like, what?
Yeah, he's like, okay,
whatever.
This proves that Anya should have gone to Willie's bar, because Willie's bar is like so much seedier and definitely would have been like, oh, what, you a demon? Now you're not a demon? Okay, sure, I'll serve you. You know, it's like,
I hope there's another bar, because if you're in Sunnydale, your options are to like drink around high school kids or to go to a bar full of monsters that want to eat you.
There's been so much carnage at the Bronze. Also, this show, I think, should be called The Bronze. The show is freaking obsessed with the Bronze.
Yeah, I think after
so
this
obsessed.
week's episode, I mean, this has happened a lot, but like, why do people return to the Bronze? Like, there's a pretty good chance you're going to be held hostage.
There is a hugely good chance. It's just,
I also like the whole reality of the show where it's like people recognize that as Willow, and like they don't necessarily get the explanation of what happens. So for like
when she comes back later, like next episode,
like I don't know, just like
there's the lady who killed this other lady.
Yeah. There's that regular patron who took us all hostage once and slaughtered somebody, and like. Yeah, everybody at the Bronze now for sure knows vampires are real, right? Like,
how many hostage situations does it take?
That shit is out of the bag.
Oh man.
Mike, you got the next note.
Oh, that just they do a really good job of differentiating between Dark Willow and regular Willow, even with the costume change that takes place. And I
Yeah.
was never confused.
Yeah, they do an amazing job. Like there's details like even when Willow's in the outfit, like her hair is still regular Willow, just like the part is like to the side instead of in the middle, and like the makeup isn't as intense. Which they should have thought about if they were really going to try to pull this off. But yeah, just like it's so from like a technical standpoint, right? It's so hard to like make something like that work, and they did it.
That's why it gets scars.
Well, like, yeah, I mean, normally if the twins thing is like happening in a show, you know, they're either like Sherlock Holmesing it where they don't want you to know that there are twins, or like they want to have a strong differentiator. And like, for instance, the one I think of when I think of twins is that stupid Jean-Claude Van Damme one, Double Impact, right?
Yeah.
And like, they do not do a good job of
So
differentiating the two Jean-Claudes very much from each other. Like one is
One has a massive scar, right?
dude, it's so bad. No,
It is
they
so
both talk
good.
the same. They don't. One is like freewheeling and crazy, and the other is kind of more conservative and uptight. But
Yeah.
like,
Part of
they're
it
all
is Jean-Claude can't change his accent, but he's supposed to be from like 2 different places.
Two
He's like,
entirely different
"I am
countries.
America."
Two totally different friggin' countries with different accents.
I mean, all they want to do is one scene where it's like, I'll go high, you go low, you know, and like have a guy get kicked and punched at the same time. Like, it's stupid.
I
Like,
think it like there's a lot of Jean-Claude Van Damme movies where he fights his clone or his doppelganger, right?
is
It's
there?
like
Is
the
it more than
thing
just
of-
Double Impact?
There's
Universal Soldier, but I think he's fighting against Dolph Lundgren in that one.
yeah, you're right. I
mean, they
felt
look-
like
it looks
there's
like-
Time Cop, right? Doesn't he fight himself in Time Cop?
I think he fights the future.
He does assist himself in the past, but they don't touch. Right.
And there's a
true.
newer movie where he like an Amazon movie where he like meets himself.
Okay, so 3 times probably, and they do a terrible job in all 3 cases of determining one from the other.
Oh man, how many more doppelgangers are we going to see, Mike? Is that in your predictions?
No, I'm not. I mean, I can do one if you like.
You don't have
That's the
to.
list.
I think Cordelia is really great in this episode.
Oh, we look good.
I mean, she only basically has the one scene, but it's so good. Like, first of all, she's not confused that she's not phased at all by Willow being in a cage. Doesn't pick up the clues of her being a vampire, and then when she finally gets attacked, she's just like, "They got Willow." So what are you doing? Like, not affected at all by her like former friend being dead. That's so good.
She's a survivor, man.
Yeah, I really like the good Willow as evil Willow in the bronze. Like her just trying to play that, but being so bad at it, like getting her hand cut in that girl's hair.
Yeah. Oh, and she's like this to Oz. She's like, "Hi, Oz."
That hand caught in the girl's hair is a great detail because the girl is so terrified she like doesn't move. That's really creepy.
Yeah.
That bit.
That's a really good move.
I like it because it shows the like awkwardness that Willow experiences as a character, right? The lack of confidence. It's such a simple gesture. So
Yeah.
she's like moving in to be creepy, but it's not pulling off creepy. It's great. Versus Dark Willow's creepiness. Oh yeah, she creepy.
She'd be creepy. Yeah.
It's such a great moment when Willow's like, this thing's so constricting. Oh, hello. And, like, and Xander and Giles look.
Yeah, they're so uncomfortable. I like that in this episode, like even Vampire Willow is over Vampire Xander. Like,
Yeah.
so over him. Like we got to admit he's not as cool. All right, I think that's it for our weird noticings and trivia. Let's move on to questions for the group. So Mike, you got some puzzlement you want to figure out.
Yeah, I just want to talk a little bit about Anya and the demon. So I didn't understand from the wish, and maybe I should have, but Anya is like over 1,000 years old. What is she? Who's the demon she's talking to? So I understand that she is not from Sunnydale. She's not supposed to be in a high school student's body now. What is she?
And she's not supposed to be flunking algebra.
Good
I like-
questions, Mike.
And
Math
if you
has
can't answer
changed a
that
lot.
question, I get that, but it's just like the show is setting up a lot of confusion about this character, and like Okay, you're just agreeing that it's confusing.
Well,
we
I
see
think
her
your
old-timey
question-
clothes?
At the end of your question is like, is this old info that I missed? We'll tell you, you haven't missed it yet.
Yeah.
There might be more.
Look at her origin story. I thought, yeah. Stay tuned.
All right, great. It was just the conversation with the demon felt like out of nowhere, and I was like, "Oh, what? Who's this new character?" And it's just like a really fun scene to throw in that felt very it just felt like out of nowhere.
The demon Elsa is pretty cool looking. Like, I think very rarely does the show do demons like in the goat-like way. So this guy's got that goat thing going on. Whatever his name is, I don't know. You got the next question also, Mike.
Oh, sure. So in this episode, the principal, Snyder, asks Willow to help a student with his homework. More than help, of course, to do the homework. But does that ever happen, Teach?
No. Not to my knowledge. I mean, again, I don't work in a high school. I work in an elementary and middle school. But
So you don't
no.
assign homework?
I do assign homework. Many teachers assign homework, but you would never assign someone else's homework.
No, but I mean, you're never like, hey, you're smart. He's dumb. Help him out.
The thing is that actually doesn't really work very well, even like within group work. Like, I think it's kind of a rookie mistake when you're making student groups to put your smartest kid and your most struggling kid together. You think that's going to work, and what it does is it makes them hate each other. So I think that's kind of a classic rookie mistake.
John, have you ever tried to have you ever needed to catch people turning in homework that they didn't do?
Yeah, I've had to do that, and plenty of trying to explain like the boundaries of what is and is not cheating. Like, it's okay for you to copy someone else's notes so you can have notes, but it's not okay to copy somebody else's homework and turn it in. Like, that is obvious to me, but it is not obvious always to kids, and they genuinely sometimes did not know that was cheating.
I just watched a Smallville episode where there's a cheating scandal among the football players, and the coaches got fire powers. The end. Sorry about that. Travis, you got the next question. It's really hard to watch two shows about superpowered people in high school at the same time. It mixes your brain up.
It's all that, maroon kryptonite that someone has put underneath your pillow. Let's see, I think Willow's the first Scooby to look into another dimension. I was trying to think about this.
Anne, the episode Anne. Buffy goes to the demon dimension.
She goes to she literally visits another dimension. But it's not a mirror dimension. Like, this one is more of a mirror dimension than what Buffy had seen, right?
Okay.
I mean, but yeah, Buffy's the only other one I can think of going to another dimension. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But she doesn't say anything. She doesn't. At the end of the episode, she's not like speaking up about, hey, I saw a bunch of really weird stuff. Let me tell you all about it. This is how our lives could have been.
That was another good line that I almost wrote. They're like, did you check under the couch cushion in hell?
Yeah, she's got some. Yeah, when she's like dropping her insults at Anya, it's pretty great.
So speaking of doppelgangers, how do you think you would react if you met yourself? This was a question I was asked by a cartoonist. They said like, how you would like meet yourself, like really like how you think you would react to meeting yourself really shows me who you are as a person. And they were like, would you have sex with yourself? I was like, I would way more likely murder myself than...
Seriously, it would be a total Thomas Riker situation. I would not be able to handle being around myself.
Is that a Star Trek reference?
It is a Star Trek reference.
I think I would just ask myself, are you like my evil version or my good version? I think that'd be my number one question.
Yeah. What if though, what if your alternate self actively was trying to seduce you? Would you be game? I think that's a more tricky question. I think I probably wouldn't be, but because of...
Yeah, I'm not that into me.
You can't give an honest answer unless you've actually been in that position before. So
very true.
It's
maybe if it was the me who, instead of drinking beer and eating pizza all the time, like worked out a lot, I'd maybe be into that.
What if he was like, oh, Dennis, this is such an amazing drawing. You're so good at this.
complimentary will get me anywhere.
And he picks up a copy of X-Men. He's like, "Did you draw this?" You know. Oh, I'm sorry, I got confused.
So like, Buff me also doesn't know how to draw. Yeah.
Well, no,
So
he's
the
just
opposite you is a buff. Is the doppelganger need to be opposite you, like in terms
No, I
of
don't know.
quality of it?
Not necessarily.
I'm just trying to think of the situation where I'd be like into myself.
So like, where would you fuck and where would you kill yourself? Right? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, if it's a mirror copy, kill. If it's the
Yeah,
better
that's usually
looking
kill.
version, fuck, definitely.
well, if it's like the antithesis or the, you know, I don't know.
I had a little bit of that experience today in my improv workshop because I'm working with people that look a lot like me.
He's on the lam, folks. He killed somebody.
Yeah, definitely.
How sure are we have the real Michael Poley on the podcast today?
Did he kill him? Did he kill someone in improv, or did they have sex in improv?
Well, there's just like there's a type of person that looks like me that does improv,
Right.
And like everyone already thinks that they've friended me on Facebook and they haven't because I'm the new version of me that's just been released to this community apparently. And so there's like a bit of I've been in a scene with this guy kind of vibe, but I have not been in scenes with these people. And that's kind of a weird familiar thing that actors give you, and like it's just a total. It was like totally neutral and not very exciting, but I do think that like. You know, something should happen when you meet your opposite self, something crazy. It's like either we're best friends for life and we have some, you know, we're going to trick people like twins, you know, threaten to do, or the fuck or kill. It's like best friends, fuck or kill.
Yeah.
It's like something has to happen. when you meet your opposite
I'm glad you
Besides
brought
just
this up, Mike, because that was like my next question was like, how many run-ins have you had with doppelgangers? So it sounds like you've had that recently. That's some shit I have to deal with a lot. Like I have like good friends who will be like, message me and be like, I just thought I ran into you in New Hampshire, but it was somebody else. Like,
and what do you say when that happens? Like, because they think that they've continued the relationship in some way, right? Like
yeah, there's some. I mean, I think
man, it was great to see you. Sorry, I couldn't catch up. I was so busy.
No, they'll be like, I tried to say hello to you and it wasn't you, and I got really embarrassed.
Oh.
Like, you know, I think there's just like I'm a generic enough human being. Like there's people out there who look enough like me that it confuses people.
I've never met anyone anything like you, Dennis. You're one of a kind to me.
You should just be like, just text them back. You know what, man? Just keep trying. I'm out there. Like, just, I know you're embarrassed, but I'm worth it. You just keep approaching these strangers in this small town in Vermont. It's going to be me one of these days.
One of these days. But I don't know. It's a similar experience to what Mike just described of like, or people, like I've had people come up to me and start talking and they're like, no, we met at like this bar or whatever. I was like, that wasn't me. Like, that's that other dude who looks like me who's running around.
Oh, I want you to have that Shaggy song just like on your phone, ready to play.
It wasn't me.
Shaggy.
That's just for the one line.
Just the one line. You just have like that 10 seconds.
The context of the song, even it's just
No.
it says it wasn't me. But
Yeah, it's like 3-second clip you have loaded on your phone.
what is like?
Hold on.
John and Trav, have you run into yourselves or had people?
There was somebody once a friend of mine who told me that they had a good friend who was looked and acted like me, except that he was Saudi. So they went around calling him Saudi John Landis.
Oh, I don't feel good for that guy. Just
Yeah, I never met him. I know. I felt bad. He didn't even have his own name. Exactly. He was just country plus me. Maybe every country has a me. I don't know.
Ooh. What's going to happen when you meet British John Landis?
That's a good question.
he'll-
Maybe he's moving to America right now.
You're going to just switch identity cards. You're going to pull your card out of the wall and be like, okay, here you go,
You're like,
sir.
Oh, this passport and visa issue just became a lot easier.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, that's an interesting idea. With facial recognition software, I bet.
No, you could fool it for another few years. You could fool facial
Yeah.
recognition.
Right, they still
Eventually it will catch
trouble
up.
differentiating between like cats and dogs.
And siblings.
You got
And
some
siblings.
times, but yeah.
That's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
But there was
My
that.
phone thinks I'm like at least 4 different people because
Exactly.
of length of beard and like, you know.
Oh, yeah. Me, no, I haven't met anyone like me, unfortunately. Or even looking like me or having similar interests. I would take either at this point in life.
I feel like it would be just given your job, it would be super intense if you found found you in your job, like a guy needing surgery or something.
I've met people that look like my brother. And I'm like, wow, you really look like my brother. I don't tell them that. But I'm like, wow, this guy looks like just like my brother. It's very strange.
Charles, you got the next question.
Ooh, is it appropriate for Cordelia to dress to the nines to go pop in and casually see, Giles or Wesley? That's why she was all dressed up all fancy. She's like,
she is dressed up
I
incredibly.
need a book.
Like
Giles,
just
Wesley.
like she looks like she's going to like a movie premiere or like
Yes.
fancy cocktail party. Something way beyond my life experience to dress like that.
Yeah.
Cocktail party.
She's like,
You have
Giles,
occasions to dress up for, Dennis.
Wesley.
You just received an award. That's
Not
the
in-
time.
Not in sequence, although I guess.
I could have dressed up better for my award. Guys, I won an award. I don't know if I mentioned that on the podcast. I got Best Graphic Novel for 2018 with the Silver Screen Festival put on by Famous Monsters.
Yay.
Thank you. And if you're interested in the comic, it's available inside the book Land of Many Monsters and Many More Monster Tales, available on Amazon.
Can't say enough good things about it.
Thank you.
Does this mean my charcoal drawing that you did for me has increased in value?
Yeah, definitely.
Now it's by an award-winning artist and writer.
We'll have to update the plaque that sits underneath it.
I'll send you the laurels, and you can put them on the.
Print your own custom plaque.
He's a one-of-a-kind guy you can find. You can almost run into everywhere in America, apparently. No, it's amazing. But is it appropriate for Cordelia to be all dressed up all fancy like?
Nothing.
can you do?
Inappropriate for Wesley to react to it. I don't think there's anything on Cordelia for.
Agree.
It's kind of dicey, but all right. Ooh, another good line that we missed from the episode was when they're like, Buffy's like, Giles, what's going on? There's two Willows. And then he's like, there's something going on. And Xander's like, can't believe the Watchers Council let this guy go.
That was a good line.
That's a good one.
That whole scene is when Xander puts the cross at real Willow and then like shakes it to make maybe the batteries are loose.
Yeah, there was a surprising amount of cross action in this episode, but it seemed to work a little bit, so totally worth it.
Yeah, you get the idea. Just like it's a general irritation. It's like,
This episode was so easy to listen to because I listened to it in the car, and like it really works. Like you don't have to watch this episode if you've seen it before.
Yeah,
a lot of it.
The audiobook works fine.
Oh yeah, it works really well.
Wesley's shriek when Cordelia scares him. Woo!
He's like, he makes a joke about different relators. I know. What's up, Mike?
Travis, were you asking about the outfit that Cordelia's wearing because she's clearly dressing for Wesley and Giles?
She's dressing for Wesley. So she comes into the library for
just showing her interest, right? That's the clue, right? It's like, is it appropriate, like
for her to be trying to hook up with Wesley? It's just tough.
Trying to dress his age, right?
I mean,
he's a fancy boy. He likes fancy dress.
I mean, she was stunning in the dress, but she's also like 27, 28.
Yeah. Also, does not look anything. They're not trying to make her look like a high schooler.
No. They're like, they must have finally given up. But I'm like, well, that's kind of the dicey subject. But here it's like a lot more sort of innocent.
I mean, I'd say as inappropriate as Wesley and Cordelia can be or could be, it's not more inappropriate than Buffy and
the show has
Angel,
been.
Right?
Yeah. It's
correct.
Angel's way older than Wesley.
It's not great. I will just say it's just one of those things that's not great to have been like a plot theme. But
yeah,
I don't know. It's nothing we can change about it now. So.
And then you ask about the
Mike.
dominatrix.
Should we give Mike a courtesy point because Willow herself jokes about dominatrix Willow in this episode?
I think you'll find that Mike's prediction was that Willow will never be a dominatrix.
So this is even more negative points for Mike.
Yeah, if we're gonna do something, it would have to be a double whammy, which we won't do because we don't do double whammies
yet. Okay, I thought he was predicting that she was a dominatrix.
No, the prediction, because what happened was that she yelled at Jonathan for peeing in the pool, and then Mike predicted that there will never be a Willow dominatrix scene.
Right, because she's clearly like that would be the opposite of that.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So I thought maybe you mean okay, I'm all confused. All right, Mike's got something else.
Mistress of the Dark.
Oh, so we need to talk about the scene at one point or another, but what's going on in the Dark Willow scene where there's a potential for a team up and it gets very sexual and it gets very strange. And I can give you my take on this, but I am curious what other people think of it. And maybe because I haven't seen it before, I'll just say what
fresh
I think
take.
of it.
Fresh take.
Fresh take is this scene surprised me. I don't, because we're talking about you meet your doppelganger, what do you do, right? And like the potential of like every possible outcome is kind of like in the room with that. And then, in time travel movies, you can't touch somebody because two objects can occupy the same space at the same time. So that's clearly not the case in this.
Allegedly.
There is touching.
There's touching.
There's too much touching.
Hands.
Yeah. And there is too much touching. It's just it's a delightful scene to watch because it's so characters playing out of their comfort zone, but like simultaneously. And it's just a lot of fun, but like, Jesus, I hadn't even pictured this as a fan fiction possibility. And so now it's like, that's all I can think about is like, well, clearly this needs to happen, but then they kill Dark Willow at the end of the show. But like this, if they don't kill Dark Willow, like this scene needs to reach its logical conclusion because Dark Willow wants it to happen. So that was just as my reaction to it. I'm like, okay, well, clearly they need to have sex because there is the sexual tension so intense here that introduced to the show. It's not me fantasizing about it. The show tension's
the
there.
subtext has become the text as
highlighted, in fact, text. I think there's two weird things about this, and I'd love to know your opinion about this. Number one, the last person to embrace Willow is Willow, or Dark Willow is Willow, and then Dark Willow's killed. That's kind of funky. Like, would you want to be embraced by your doppelganger before you die? And number two, would you have sex with would you have sex with your doppelganger knowing that would be the last thing your doppelganger ever did before they died?
Obviously, yes,
like,
yes.
Yes. Especially if I hated my doppelganger, I would have sex with him just to torture him before he died. Be like, this is the last thing you'll remember.
So
awful sex.
I should not ask questions. I did not want to know the answer.
That's horrifying, Dennis.
Sorry. I was a horror
comic cartoonist.
One of the
horror comic.
I think like to talk about like the show and the way it treats metaphors literally and stuff is like the idea of like if Vampire Willow is like a part of Willow that Willow needs to explore or is interested in exploring, like instead of exploring it internally, it's like a physically manifested thing. She's like physically exploring herself externally instead of internally, like I think that's kind of interesting.
No, it's just I was surprised at the show's take on it because here's something I learned from acting, guys. A scene between two characters that are far apart that are sexually attracted to each other, there's tension in that scene. But when they're right next to each other, it's just they're going to have sex and there's no tension. And so it's like there's no tension. They are going to have sex that has to happen. And like it just felt like they were going to play with it more. Or it was going to happen. And like, man, it's just like a Buffy fan explosion. Like this.
So the term for this, the term for this in fan fiction is self-cessed. Is the term? Yes.
Don't define it.
Well, I mean, it's what it sounds like. It's having sex with yourself, which is incestuous because you're in your own family, I guess. Self-cessed. But there are Archive of Our Own, which doesn't probably have a lot of Buffy stuff because it was invented long after Buffy, but has 7 different stories that are tagged as Vampire Willow / Willow.
I think you're going to say 700.
Yeah, 700 sounds more reasonable.
No, that
100 stories.
Self-cessed in general, there's about 1,500 stories that include self-cessed for all kinds of things, including Hannibal, Marvel. Here's the Tony Stark has sex with himself. Let's see, something from I don't even know what that is. Mr. Robot. Oh, Mr. Robot. The guy in Mr. Robot has sex with himself. All of the characters in Harry Potter have sex with themselves.
There's a time turner.
This is terrible. Also, it feels like our show is sponsored by Archive of Our Own.
There's just so much fun to be had on Archive of Our Own.
So this one's really weird if you know what it is. There's weird stuff where the characters from Undertale, the RPG, have sex with themselves. I don't know if you've ever played Undertale. It's a good game, but that's really that is a very strange thing that someone apparently has written. And on and on. I mean, I could go on.
It's just a delightful scene to see Dark Willow exploring every possible relationship with Willow in a brief moment, and then ultimately, like, none of these things happen. Willow, prevails as a good person, but is kind of considering all the options as they happen, and like that part is really crazy. Like, I don't know, it felt like a strong emotional possibility of like if yourself is initiating all these potential relationships, because you certainly wouldn't do those things, but if yourself does, like, oh, maybe I would do those things. Anyway, maybe that's it. It's just like a fun exploration. Everyone's just nodding. Okay, cool.
Yes, yeah. I agree. Yes, that bit is fun and strange.
All right, want to move on to themes and deep stuff?
Please.
All right. I say this season is very much about the recurring theme of doubles with Willow and Dark Willow, Buffy and Faith, Giles and Wesley. Mostly about the path not taken, the you who turns evil because of circumstances beyond their control. And Buffy basically says something to that effect at the beginning of the episode when she's talking about Faith.
Yeah.
So that's the theme I saw.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense too, as like a high school show or about somebody who's this is their senior year of high school, where I think the process of growing up is the process of, murdering off all of the selves you could be.
Right.
You gradually collapse into one. Which
it's also like your brain trimming, right?
Right. Yeah.
All the possibilities of trimming down to what you actively use.
Somebody once sat me down and was like, dude, you know how like words that end in side are about killing, like, homicide and, matricide and regicide? Well, think about the word decide.
Dude.
Wow. That is good.
Did that happen at a Circle K?
I honestly don't remember, but I kind of hope that it did.
Until proven otherwise. Until you show me documentary proof.
I'm going to go ahead and just say that happened at Circle K.
That happened at Circle K.
Strange things were afoot.
So yeah, then that totally reflects on the Willow Dark Willow is rejecting all the possibilities of where her self could go, and knowing that you're vulnerable to all those opportunities, and then ultimately you're the self you choose to be. You choose that self for a reason, because that's the self you want to be.
Yeah, but also, like, I mean, it has a lot to the heart of the episode is where Willow is talking about herself in the third person and beats up herself for not being more of a risk taker, basically, right? I mean, that's really the beginning and end of this episode is Willow not being satisfied with herself for being, for not, and then I guess, I don't know where it sort of ends is like, well, she gets to try it out. It's awful.
But it's funny. She gives it up so fast too, right? She's like,
yeah, exactly.
Risk taker. One spell goes weird. She's like, later, bye.
Yeah.
She's like, when she's reflecting on evil Willow, she's like, she destroyed everything she touched. And it's like, I don't know if that's true, really. She was in town for one day, became a vampire boss. You don't know anything about the actual Doppelgang universe. It's very much you're interpreting yourself, not Vampire Willow.
In the fandom, it's called the Wishverse.
Ah, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I think this whole season's all about identity and trying to adjust to that adult type identity, which is a big part of the trimming or making your choices. But I mean, I think it shows up in the show in a lot of different ways. But I mean, Willow's been fighting, being more risk taking since the first episode with Carpe Diem, fish of the day.
Yeah,
the first episode of season 1, Carpe Diem, fish of the day. Oh man, still such a great joke. Yeah, that was my big question was, was there some identity that was thrust upon you versus, I know John's going to just really make me feel guilty. Was that identity was thrust upon you or versus you choosing it like, this is my identity? It's tough to change your identity. That's always the joke we say, got to move town, change your life. You show up in the new town, nobody knows you. It can be anything. But it's tough to stay in the same town. Move universes too. You can definitely change things if you move universes.
Well, I mean, none of us are in our hometown, so
Yeah. So we got to
all
choose
had opportunity to change our identities.
multiple times for each of us too.
Yeah, I don't want to move to change my identity, but you're kind of forced to when you move, right?
Yeah.
That's not like why I'm moving. I'm not moving like I want to be someone else. That's not been my motivation ever, but maybe it should be next time.
I think I have sometimes moved with that as the intention. I mean, not like,
Oh, me too.
yeah, not specifically like, you know, I got to blow this town and, you know, dye my hair. It wasn't like that. It's more just like, I'm unsatisfied with the job that I have. So I'm going to go to a place where I have a new job.
Well, you
And
did.
then
I mean, you also
Bonus, new friends.
hitchhiking across the country.
Oh, yeah.
Self-discovery.
I guess
jazz.
if we're going to get into pretentious 19-year-old John, sure. as opposed to now, I guess.
That's a big. I mean, the
It's
hitchhiking thing is a big like identity changing deal.
Sure. Yeah.
Like you gotta play with a new identity every town or whatever. Like,
Well, the hitchhiker's kind of like already an interesting character, right? Because he's an outsider. He has there's a motivation for hitchhiking. Why are you doing it? Where are you going? So like you're already in an interesting identity where there's mystery in the
Yeah, but
what that
me
means.
trying to pull off a mysterious identity was probably a lot like, you know, Willow trying to pull off Vampire Willow, where I'm just like, hey, everybody, I'm here.
No, John.
I'm this
sure
guy.
there's subtle edits where you're like, you want to choose like the best version of you. I think like the now vernacular is like be the best version of you, but that's not how we said it back in the day. We weren't like be the best version. You just wanted to be a different version that you assumed was better.
Well, you mean the cooler version, right?
Yeah.
That's like cooler version of the self.
Yeah, I
Well,
think that's what I've tried to do, and I'm still working out those damn error messages.
You know, I think for me, when I was in my early 20s, like it felt like there was a path laid out for what growing up was supposed to look like, and it was important to me at that time to do it on my own terms and make my own decisions about it, and not just, you know, not go to college just because that was the next thing, or major in X or Y because that was the next thing. It was important to me to like make a choice, even though
Challenge
like
the system.
it was pretty arbitrary.
They were really into challenging the system.
Yeah.
you rebel.
Yep, that's what they call me.
Traveling
No.
from town to town in your leather jacket, shaking things up.
Like Spike.
Mike, are you muted? Did you say something?
No, I was
Okay.
just gonna pretend to be a character. I had nothing to add about it.
All right, I think we've gotten deep and thematic enough. Let's move on to predictions. Travis, you might want to walk away.
Why?
All right.
Okay.
A moment to walk away.
What
Give
happened?
Travis a chew. Well, because just in case we make you angry in predictions.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so
That's not
quick,
my identity, okay? It's not-
I am going to try to go through these a little bit quicker and hopefully without any fisticuffs. So right now, Mike, you're at a 70. Okay.
Thank
So
you, listeners.
past predictions. Back in season 1, Mike predicted that Willow would continue to be under threat because she is smart. So hacking the computer makes the mayor kind of go after her in this episode. Plus, Anya chooses Willow because she's good at spells. So I feel like this whole thing is Willow was targeted a little bit because she was smart. You guys feel like you want to give that one to Mike?
Yeah, I'll give that to him.
Yep,
It
that's a
does feel
thumbs
really-
up.
It feels really vague, though. You guys need to make my predictions more hammered down. And
This is season 1, man.
that's true.
Yeah.
Do we keep? Is this like the tree of life? It keeps giving points. Like if Willow gets herself into another smart.
No.
Okay.
Predictions are binary. It's either true once or it's not true. It's just, that's it.
So he predicted this in season 1 and it's never come up?
Season,
since?
yeah. Interestingly enough, this is one I've been keep looking back to, kind of being like, is this
When
the
is this
time?
gonna turn,
Yeah.
when is this going to turn red?
Because this happened, I think, in the puppet show when like the puppet
brain.
was going to eat her brain or whatever, because she had a good brain.
Oh, wow. That's a strong motivator to go after a smart person. Smart
Yeah. So, but like I've been looking out for this to be a thing again, and it hasn't been a thing. I maybe I might have missed one, but I'm pretty sure that this is the first time that's been very specifically because she's smart.
All right.
There was also Moloch, but that was earlier. The Corruptor? Okay, let's see. Okay, now we're getting into some very specific ones here. Season 3, episode 8, so just a little while ago, Mike predicted that there will be no more visits to the Bizarro episode universe no more visits to the Bizarro universe from The Wish. That's a thumbs down. That's a no.
It looked like that universe was being shut down the last time we were there. You can time travel back to just before you die.
Okay. He also very specifically predicted no more Anya.
I want to say that specific prediction you made was like the hardest I've had to poker face.
I was just like, what are you saying? I mean, you were saying all this. I'm like, stop talking. Stop predicting.
Now, these ones are a little bit more debatable, I guess. So Mike predicted that there will be no more monsters who grant wishes you didn't know you were making. So that specific monster did come back, but she didn't actually do that thing. So do you leave that one open, you think?
That's open till the end of the show. So yeah,
okay, all right.
I mean,
okay.
Will Nevers, are kind of like that.
Okay. Now, the characters will not make reference to The Wish, that's the episode, but the show will. So did the characters make reference to The Wish? I think that they did or didn't.
I think, well, if you consider The Wish the entire episode, then Anya even saying, like, I know Cordelia is a reference to it.
That's a good point.
Yeah. The events of The Wish.
So that's denied. Okay. So that's 3 denials and 1 confirmation so far. This one I just think is interesting because Mike predicted that Willow will lose her virginity to Oz during this season. Now, we don't know what's going to happen with the rest of this season, but Willow does say at the end that she's going to die a virgin, which definitely strongly suggests that she has not had sex with Oz yet. So she's still a virgin now. She could lose her virginity to Oz before the end of the season. We don't know if that's going to happen or not. Just that's definitely still open, but we have a point at which we can say what's going on. Now, let's see. A couple episodes ago, Mike predicted that Willow will continue to be a witch. I don't know. That seemed like a pretty safe
close
one.
It out sometime. I mean, I think
we're just going to go ahead and give that to him today.
Close it out.
He did say that Willow will master the 4 elements. I don't really know what we're waiting for on that one or how we're going to know. I guess wood is an element. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Wood,
I actually
water,
think
fire.
there is a specific episode that addresses the 4 elements that's not for a couple seasons.
You think there is one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we'll just leave that the way it is.
Sorry.
And that's it for predictions, old predictions. That puts Mike currently at a 68. So, Mike, you dropped 2 percentage points today.
Well, it just means I can get back to 69, dude. So. Okay.
Okay. New predictions.
3 predictions. 1, Anya is going to regain her powers during season 3. She implies that she has some crazy powers that she doesn't have access to now in her conversation with the demon. She's going to get them back. Not season 3. Willow will wear the Dark Willow outfit again. I want to say she'll wear it in a sexual scenario with Oz, but I can't say that's true. I'm just going to say she's going to wear the outfit again. And, and knowingly probably impersonate herself. Because no one knows that Dark Willow died, and it's like a power costume for her to be someone else. So she's going to wear it again, the context of which I can't predict. But she's going to wear it again, like willfully knowing what it means to wear it. And there will be a Bigfoot Sasquatch monster, and it will be named as a Sasquatch.
Where is this coming from?
I was just thinking about monsters that haven't been on Buffy, and I don't think there's been a Bigfoot monster. There's been a werewolf,
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be a Bigfoot. I live in Pacific Northwest. It's just like, I was thinking that today, randomly about like monster predictions I could make.
Have you watched any of the new season of X-Files?
No.
I mean, X-Files is terrible, but there's
new season, old season, it's all bad.
There's the one good writer on X-Files, Glenn Morgan, or is it Darren Morgan? John, do you know?
I don't.
There's one good writer who writes one good episode a season now, but there was a joke of Mulder wasn't answering his phone. He was like, "Oh, I was out squatching." He's dressed up in what do you call it? Spanish moss, just waiting.
A ghillie suit.
Just waiting for Sasquatch. I just like that line, squatching. I was just out squatching.
I would watch a show that's just Mulder doing hobbies. That would be a show I would watch.
Oh, wow. What a great.
If anyone is interested in the new seasons of X-Files, like the conspiracy theory stuff is like not only worse than it's ever been, it's like genuinely upsetting. But like
that was always the worst part of the show, like in retrospect.
In retrospect, yeah, totally. But it's gotten so much worse. But like there's been 2 recent seasons and they both have one really good episode per season. So just watch those and they're amazing.
I couldn't watch it. I couldn't get through. I tried to watch the first of the reboot season and I was just like,
dude, if you watch, I really want somebody, I'm sorry to interrupt this whole thing, but like I want somebody I know to watch the new season premiere because it was the most upsetting hour of television I've ever experienced, and I can't share it with anybody.
This is terrible. Try some.
Yeah. But like, no, there's last season, there was a really good one about a lizard man, and this episode has one about the mandala effect, and they're just like, mwah, they're so good.
If I'll watch that if you can agree to be on my spin-off podcast about Earth Final Conflict.
Dude, I'll be on every podcast of that too. You know it.
So many watching podcasts.
I'm not really going to do an Earth Final Conflict podcast. That's not a real thing.
But please watch these X-Files episodes.
And get back to me.
And connect with Dennis on Twitter. Or
yes, please. I'm at Dennis Comics. Talk to me about X-Files. All right. Sorry about that, everybody. Let's move on from predictions to my kill count. I counted only 1 human dies at the hands of Evil Willow. I counted 5 staked vampires, which means 5 from Willow's gang got away. And 1 hurt tree, but it'll recover. It's just a bark wound.
I should say it's all wood. I should have saved it for this.
And now we move on to recommendations. I recommend Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey for the evil doppelgangers. And I recommend...
Those evil robot usses!
And I recommend the 1972 Brian De Palma movie Sisters with Margot Kidder, where she is both the good sister and the bad sister, and their former conjoined twins. And that movie is bonkers. Has anyone else seen it in this room? It's really good. It's got the guy who played Artie Leach in Phantom of the Paradise as Margot Kidder's ex-husband / psychiatrist. It's like, I don't know. It's really good and really weird. And has like a sex scene that zooms into like the scar tissue from the conjoined twin surgery, which is like really weird.
Can we add to the recommendations the TNG episode Second Chances with Thomas Riker, the TNG episode Data Lore with Lore,
Star Trek Generations. Yeah, there's so many to add, right?
No, but there's no doubles in Generations.
Was it the multiple captains? Oh, that's not enough. Sorry, it has to be.
There's also Times Squared where there's 2 captains.
There's and there's of course the original series episode Mirror Mirror.
Yeah, of course. Yep.
There's
also that weird original series episode where they split off Kirk into like, what is it? It's not good and evil Kirk. It's like masculine Kirk and feminine Kirk.
Yeah, it's decisive Kirk and weak-willed Kirk.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to make a decision. I mean, there's just so many doppelgang things, you know.
Yes.
And I regret that I recommended this movie earlier because Twins of Evil. I recommended it because there was like. Originally, I forget what episode I recommended it, but I was into like the Pilgrim
Season 3, episode 11, Gingerbread.
Yeah, because of the burning at the stake. But it's really appropriate for this episode also because it's about 2 twins, and one of them is good, and the other is evil, and the evil one becomes a vampire. So it's just very appropriate for this episode, but I've already recommended it. So those are my recs. All right. So thank you guys. You've made it through another episode of Buffy Virgin. We'll be returning hopefully to a more regular schedule. And you can please like us and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at Buffy Virgin Pod. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. Give us reviews on iTunes. It helps. I'm Dennis St. John. You can find me at Dennis Comics, DENISCOMIX. Michael Poley, where are you at?
Yeah, I'm at Michael Poley. I have a vlog. I'm going to start releasing videos every Thursday. So hopefully that will start to happen this week. But it will already have happened when you listen to this podcast, likely, or be the same day as. We're going to start doing a blog as Buffy Virgin to try and reach more people, to increase the SEO value of the stuff that we do, because there's no transcription of this, conference call / podcast we do. So we'll work on that. That's all.